I'm going to show you how you can create this real estate wholesale contract using artificial intelligence, 100% for free. This is Richard Taylor's purchase and sale agreement. This is RJ Bates's purchase and sale agreement, and even Jerry Norton's purchase and sale agreement. And in my free real estate wholesale Discord community, you can access Zach Ginn's purchase and sale agreement. But the thing is, all of these contracts, no matter who you're getting them from or who's making them, they have 10 things in common. And that's why I created this prompt that you can use in your AI tool, whether that's ChatGPT, Grok, or even DeepSeek. It doesn't matter. Put this prompt in and let me show you what happened. You get this awesome real estate wholesaling contract. Before I go through the exact prompt and the contract, let me talk about these 10 things, because all contracts have 10 things in common in order to be valid real estate wholesale contract. And the best way to demonstrate this is with the best contract ever created, the TREC 1-4. If you are in Texas, don't use any other contract. Use the TREC 1-4 family residential contract. You can access it in my Discord. This is a contract that all real estate agents use, but in most states, these contracts are not public data. And that is why we create these contracts. We call these 2-pagers because they're usually about 2 pages. They're very simple contracts that have 10 key terms. And although this contract is very long, it's 11 pages, we can identify the 10 main things that we need in our contract. The first thing is we need the names of the parties. Buyer and seller, we need the name. Also, when we put the names, we need to make sure that we include and or assigns at the end of the buyer's name, giving us the right to assign the property, aka wholesale it. Also, we need to put the address or legal description, preferably both. We got to say what property we're dealing with. You have to put the purchase price, and a lot of this stuff, you don't need to have it in a contract. You don't need any of this. You don't need all this. Does it help to have it? Yes, but you don't have to have that. Number 4 is we need to have a form of consideration, meaning we just got to put up a little bit of money in order for our contract to be legally binding. You can put $1 in there. That's your option or earnest money. Now that consideration grants you an option period. This is the time in which we can legally go and wholesale our property with essentially 0 risk. And during this time, we can back out of a contract for any reason if we don't find a buyer. That's your option period, your due diligence period, your inspection period, whatever you want to call it. Those are 5 things. The other 5 things are also super important. You need to put a title company, so make sure you put a title company. We also got to say that we're buying the property as is, like we're not expecting the seller to do any repairs. We need to put a closing date in a contract. If you don't have a closing date on a contract, your contract is not effective. You have to say, hey, this contract's gonna close. It's gonna end on this date. And then there's 2 more things that we need to mention. We need to put in there that it's assignable. So yes, you can just put and or assigns at the end of your name, or you can just write in your contract, hey, this is an assignable contract. I would make that very clear. And the last thing, y'all, in order for a contract to be effective, at the very end, you need to have your and the seller's signature. If you have these 10 things, you now have a valid real estate wholesaling contract. So knowing this, now we can prompt ChatGPT. This is the prompt that I like to use. Write a real estate purchase agreement tailored for wholesaling. The contract should be assignable and include the following 10 terms. The 10 terms we just discussed: names of buyer and seller, full property address and legal description, purchase price, consideration, closing date, option period, assignment clause as is, title company, as well as signatures and dates of all parties. I also just like to mention that I want to keep the contract concise, 1 to 2 pages max. We want a 2-pager, easy to read, suitable for wholesaling. And then I'm telling it that I want it to format it and make it look pretty. And then I also mentioned that I want it to be legally enforceable in my state, Texas, not in the state where I'm buying the properties, but in my home state. With all that being said, I click enter. And now ChatGPT is writing me a real estate wholesale contract. Now, while this loads, guys, please understand that this is not a contract for subject to, this is not a contract for seller financing. This is a contract for buying properties cash or wholesaling properties cash, preferably wholesaling. And it's almost done. It's done. There we go. Here we have it. Let's take Zach Ginn's contract for a second, and you can see his is very similar to one we just created, and it's only 10 sections and 2 pages. Ours is 10 sections, but closer to a page. Why? Well, a lot of these other contracts have what I call legalese. They have attorney language. Is all of this technically necessary? Well, no, but these contracts will be much more thorough than what we just created. What we just created is very much a bare minimum. Now, let's make something clear here. I'm not encouraging you to take this contract and go start wholesaling properties. I'm not encouraging that. The point of this video is to show you really the 10 things that are necessary in a real estate wholesaling transaction. I encourage you to add to your contracts and then at the end have an attorney review it. Please spend a couple $200-300 and just have an attorney review your contract. You can draft draft it with ChatGPT. You can add language with ChatGPT. But then at the end, guys, just have an attorney review it and just check it off. With all that being said, let's go through the template contract that we created. And I'll be completely honest, this contract that we just made is better than most of the contracts that I see wholesalers use. I've seen some contracts, dude. All right, so we start off by listing the parties, property description, and legal description. I like that. We put the purchase price in there. We're going to say, hey, I'm going to give you some earnest money to make this contract valid. I like to put $10, guys. That's what I like to do. For closing, I usually close properties in 14 days, but 30 days is really safe. It does a great job with our option or inspection period saying, hey, we're going to get this many days. I usually like to get 7, 3 minimum to inspect the property, but I like that it says buyer may terminate this agreement for any reason during this period with written notice to seller. However, what I love about ChatGPT is you can just keep adding language. So for example, I want to make it clear that if I do terminate, I'm not going to lose my earnest money if I terminate during my option period. So I can just say, include that if I terminate during option period, I do not forfeit my EMD. We can even get more specific and say, seller waives the right to contest the release of EMD during the option period. Put it in the ChatGPT, and then they'll redo the contract and add our verbiage. So guys, the more you wholesale, the more you're going to realize, oh man, I had a problem with that situation. Make your contract stronger. Every week I'm going back to my contracts and I'm adding language to make them stronger because new situations come up that I never could have thought. I'm not just talking purchase contracts. I'm also talking my assignment contracts, my JV contracts, a little bit of everything. So now, if we read, buyer shall have an option period of whatever days. Buyer may terminate this agreement for any reason during the option period by written notice. And then they added, if buyer terminates within the option period, buyer shall receive a full refund of earnest money deposit and seller waives the right to contest the release of EMD during the option period. Awesome. We keep going. We can see that it made it very clear that this is an assignable contract. We're buying the property as is. We have our title companies. But let's say, hey, Max, shouldn't I put in there that buyer is to pay all closing costs? Well, just add it. Buyer is to pay all closing costs. Dude, I love AI. This is so freaking cool. And then there you have it, y'all. That is a very, very basic version of a purchase and sale contract created by ChatGPT and the 10 main things that you need to have in your contract for it to be legit. Please stop going around being a cowboy and getting people under really, really bad contracts, getting them and yourself in trouble. Please use these 10 things. Use AI to help you with your contracts, and then have an attorney review them, finalize them, and then go out and start making some money. If you want access to some already good contracts, feel free to join my free Discord and try Zach's or Jerry's contracts. And then, hey, use AI to make changes that fit your needs. I appreciate y'all watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.